What was it like? What was it like saying goodbye to Zach?
Yeah, it's rough. Spent a lot of time together. I thought he was going to be happier after the game than he was. I think, even though obviously kind of made aware that he was looking to be someplace else all off season, and once you are a part of a team for the season, and obviously for the amount of time he spent and invested into this organization, this city, this fan base, I think it probably all hits you at once, no matter whether it's the best thing for you or not. He was very emotional after the game. So I'm really happy for him, obviously, but I'm going to miss him for sure.
Now that he's gone, how does the summer bet change at all? It seems to have a lot.
No, I already lost that bet. There's no going back now. So I'll just wait for it to grow out. But yeah, I got the short end of the stick on that bet for sure.
The positive this week is Lane is back.
Yeah.
How is? I'm sure you guys have talked. How do you think he's feeling? What's it like to have him back in the building?
It's great to have him back. Lane's an awesome person, an awesome player. He's a guy that makes meetings just more fun to be in. Just a great guy, and so it's great to have him back. I'm glad he is back, and I'm glad he's addressing some of these issues. So I think that we're all really, really happy for Lane to be here.
Zach had some comments about his relationship with the city and why he worked so well here. As somebody who enjoys one of the better relationships with the fan base in terms of professional athletes, you've been here long enough to see the relationships go good and bad. What's the difference between those two, the ones who survive and thrive in Philadelphia and the ones who don't?
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously being a good player helps out. You win a Super Bowl and have the game-winning touchdown, you're going to be pretty loved. This city really appreciates accountability, appreciates people being very honest, real, emotionally invested, caring. I think there's a lot of people that say it's a hard place to play. I think it's pretty easy, to be honest with you. You just go out there, play hard. You want to be loved in the city as a baseball player, run to first base. They're going to love you. That's what it comes down to. If you go up here and make a bunch of excuses, you come up here and try and lie to them and act like they don't know what they're talking about, which sometimes they don't, but that's when you really when you act that way, or when you aren't accountable if you're making mistakes or you're not getting better or anything like that, they're gonna crush you. And that's most of the guys that I see, that everybody's gonna get crushed at some point. Everybody's gonna go through a downturn or be struggling, right? And at all times, the city's gonna keep you accountable to be doing your job and performing. But if you stick to it and you fight through it and you get better and everything like that, they'll respect the hell out of you. Especially if you fight, even if you're struggling and you're fighting and you're really trying, they're still going to respect you. And that's what I think most guys miss. I think that I really don't think this is a hard place to play at all, to be honest with you. I think a hard place to play is, I don't want to. I think it'd be miserable to play in a place like Jacksonville where nobody cares. So.
23, 24, 25, or did it take time and experience for you to realize it?
No, listen, I've only played in one place my whole life. And, as I've played in the city and as you get older, you notice things like that a little bit more. But, you look at all the players that Philadelphia holds true to them and who they respect, all the guys that came before you, and they all fit that mold of tough, hard-nosed, physical, try-hard guys. Vince Papali's a legend here, and he's a special teams guy, but he's a local guy who went out there and freaking, he made the best, and he lived the American dream. That's what Philly wants to see.
With Zach's exit, there's now only 9 players on the roster who were part of the 2017 Super Bowl team. Mm-hmm. Obviously, this has been a transition for a while now, but
sure,
it's now kind of really it's happened. How do you view, what's your mind space when you think about where this franchise is going and how you're part of it when you see a guy like Zach get traded?
I mean, I don't necessarily think of it as where the whole team is. I more think of it as, the situation that Zach was in. Obviously, it's a young tight end in Dallas Goedert who's getting better, and they want to continue to use more. And I think that Zach was very vocal that he wanted to be still a featured tight end and a guy that was getting the amount of touches that a starter gets. So, for that specific, scenario, I think it makes sense for both teams or both parties. And what happened? I mean, he's going to go to a great place in Arizona, who's a really good team right now, and they're looking for a tight end. And the Eagles get to move forward and continue to develop the guys that are young and up and coming. So I try not to think about it too much, like organizationally. I think it's just what's something that's in the best interest of the organization. And, I'm just going to keep trying to play offensive line and get them better.
You just told us about what works in Philly and what doesn't. Is that something you share with young guys when they come in? Because we've all seen guys who never really grasp that.
Well,
Or do they have to learn that on their own?
no, you do try and tell them. I mean, anytime somebody's getting crushed in the media, they're going to have a negative reaction instantly. And, I've had my fair share of getting crushed in the city too. But the reality is it's made me better, right? I've probably never been better than, I think there's two parts to it. There's the one that, you can't, trying to think of how to say this. First and foremost, the city will love you. The team, more important, don't get me wrong, the city's important to love you. Your team will love you if you're accountable. Your coaches will love you if you're accountable. So you have to know what's real and what's not. We talked about this with Andre Dillard and, how do some guys make it out of live up to their hype or not, right? Knowing what's real, what's not, accountability and understanding, am I doing my job well? When am I not doing my job well? All that stuff. And fans are going to point out when the productivity's not there, when the wins aren't there, when, the stats aren't there, or, when they see just flat out gross errors. And you as a player have to understand, is that my fault? What's going on here? And be accountable to that. And, but the bigger issue with that is, even if you're accountable, you have to understand that it's all correctable and it's all fixable. And you have to realize that this is a blip in time, and that over the course of my career, I write the narrative. I'm the one who decides what this is. So, I think that's how you control everything. You really think about it like, if I just do this better, if I go out there and ball, if I go out there and play really good, nobody's going to have any choice but to love me or appreciate me as a player. So that's what I tell guys. You write your own narrative. What's going on, I don't want to crush any other player, but what's going on with the 76ers, Ben Simmons, stuff like that, all that is because of a lack of accountability, a lack of owning up to mistakes, and a lack of correcting things. If all that got corrected, if you're fixing free throws, if you're getting better as a player, none of this is happening. So everybody can complain about, how tough this city is to play in. Just play better, man. The city will love you.
So do you think you've given that advice to younger players? You just gave it to us. Do
Yeah.
you think it's something they have to learn on their own, or?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you go through something, you're going to learn it more. I've been through it, so I know it a lot more than a guy that hasn't. You can only tell somebody so many things. You just try and be there for them and push them through it and guide them if you can as a teammate and as a friend. But going through it definitely hardens that into you. It's
Your advice when the criticism is irrational.
is irrational.
Is irrational.
Usually, it's not a big deal. The reality is the stuff that hurts players or hurts guys the most is when it is true. Somebody's up there saying a bunch of stuff that you don't believe yourself. You don't get upset about it. You're like, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So you just brush it off. Usually the stuff where it tears apart organizations, tears apart players mentally, is because it is true. And you can't wrestle with the fact that it's true or how to correct it. So you lash out and blame other people.
But isn't it, can it be irrational the way it's delivered here?
I don't know about irrational. It can be, what's it called? Over the top. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's, it's still rational to be upset, especially if you care about something, which this city does. You're going to, it might not be the best way to express emotional reactions, but it's still rational.
Have you thought about the younger players on this roster who will be sort of the next generation being here for a long time and looked at that at all?
Not really. I try not to think. I really don't try and think about too much into the future. I try to be a good teammate. I try to care and live in the moment. That's maybe one day it'll be my job to worry about the future, but right now I'm just trying to beat the Raiders.
With Simmons, do you take that personally?
No.
He's not a teammate, but he's
No, I don't take anything personally. I got no idea the particulars of that situation. It's a travesty any way you put it. These guys are all brought in here, a lot of talent, and it hasn't worked out for them for whatever reason. But it's a pretty good example of how to not handle the Philly media at the very least.